Hello everyone, welcome back. Another Evie Creates is here. Those are the papers that inspired me to create this piece that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I will be working on my mixed media Canson art journal. So first I'm going to show you briefly what inspired me to create it. It's the papers, and then I picked up these colors in the turquoise, teal, and blue from Dr. Martin's Bombay inks. And I've also selected some glitters from walking around in my studio, and I went for blues again. So the vintage sparkle and those distressed glitters in broken china and rock candy are the ones that I chose. And I'll briefly give you a teaser of what you're going to be seeing me make today. So here you go. Kink. There you go. So first let's gesso the page, and I'll just fast forward through that process. And then I forgot to record as I was doing this, but I was creating my sky, and the colors that I used were some acrylics for the base in a sky blue and a cotton bowl. Those are from Americana. And then I dripped some India inks on top of that, and the colors that I chose for that part were the teal and the turquoise, I believe. Let me see as I turn it around. Yeah, teal and turquoise. And then I sprinkled some of this distressed glitter on top of that to get some sparkle on that surface. And I created all my sky by just playing around with those colors back and forth until I finally found something that I liked. And this is how it sparkles after it dried. And I love how it's looking so far. But I will be building layers on top of that. So after doing my sky, I have to work on what is going to be my ocean, because now I believe I'm going to make a scene, because I see mermaids in that paper. So those little shapes here for me are mermaid tails, and I am going to attempt to create some mermaids with that. So I've cut out some of the shapes that I thought would work, and then I cut out some extra ones because I think I want to add them as rocks on to the water surface. So you see me playing with that, and this is going to be a long video because I recorded all of it. I've cut some sections to have like some of the extra stuff that you don't really need to see out of the video, so it's not as long, but it's still a long process because I went through all of the steps and layers, and I've tried to share as much as I can, but I fast forwarded 20 times the speed. So not fast forward, but it's 20 times the speed, so it's going to be quick, but you're still going to be able to see what I went through. So I'm just fussy cutting those shapes to create the shape that I finally want and the border that I finally want on them, and I just keep on playing until I find like the placement for it. Then I went over and I made a slit on the paper so I could insert the rock that I was placing at the bottom, and I went over those lines with a pit pen just to blend it in a little bit better. And then it's just gel medium onto the page and the piece to put it down and secure it there. And same thing with my rocks. I just place them there because I hope to be turning those into rocks for my mermaids. So now let's go on to creating these mermaids and see if they work out. So I've just gel medium them onto a cardstock, and I'm drawing them, lightly sketching the shape for my mermaids with a pencil, just a regular pencil. And it's a fast sketch, so I'm just getting the basics of the body and the design for each one of them. But I kept the whole process so you could see it, even though it's very fast, so that I could be able to share it and not spend a lot of time having you look at me creating it. But yeah, I basically sat there and sketched out my little mermaids, and I know I can adjust them and change them as I keep on going, and I'm planning on doing outlines on them, so I'll be able to fix things then, and I'll be painting them with acrylic, so I'll be able to do things with that too. So I'm just loosely placing the different parts of the mermaid to just give me a guide and a basic idea of what they're gonna look like, and see what comes out, because I'm just playing with the shapes that I'm seeing and just seeing what turns out of them. Not too much planning, just seeing what comes out. It's all about the playing on my journal, so, or in my journal. So this is the second one, and I started out by wanting to have her with her hands raised because I was thinking of having her in the front of the page. But then, as you see, I decide that I'm not going to do the hands being lifted up, and I'm going to change the way her arms are going to be on her body. So I'm erasing that part and just making that change. And at first I was going to have her facing forward, but then I kept looking at the shape and what I was doing and where I was going to place it, and I decided to change it so that she would be facing the other mermaids somehow, if it works out right. So I did her from the back, and you're going to see me as I keep on adding the details on the drawing loosely, because I know they're going to have a lot of hair, so most of the parts on her body are not going to be there, but I still need to see a guide in my mind as I do the rest of her. So the basic shape has to be drawn for me to be able to do that. So that's my basic guide for her body, and like where her hair is going to be placed and where her arms are going to be, and then I'll move on to the next one. And this one's going to be farther out. And after I started drawing her, I decided I was going to do her in a profile pose. But I still have to see what emerges as I'm drawing it. And as I kept on adding little parts here and there, and whatever was left of the white space, because I challenged myself to draw on something that already had ink on it, just so I didn't waste the paper. So I'm limiting myself to the spaces that I have available to draw my bodies in. But that's kind of like a fun challenge to do for myself, to figure out what I'm going to do within the space that I have. And I end up doing the profile, but on this one I decided to add a ponytail. So you're going to see me adding a long wavy ponytail for her. And this is a no length of video for me, so I hope it can upload, and I hope you enjoy seeing the whole process of me drawing them and painting them, because I'm planning to include it in this video that's the plan. So I hope that I'm able to, and I hope that you like this. They're not all going to be like this, but today I just thought that since it was a fun kind of a page, I would include all of that. So hopefully you'll enjoy watching the whole process. And if you wanna at some point just turn my volume down and just play some music as you watch me draw and paint these mermaids, then you're more than welcome to do that. But right now I will probably just try and talk you through the process of what I've been doing. So I'm adding the hair now for the one that's facing, well, it's giving us her back. And I'm just doing some fun hair all over. And adding the little details on her. So hopefully you like what's going to come out of this fun page. I actually had fun doing all of the different parts on this. It was a process of like maybe 2 days with doing all the layers, because I had other things to do, but I enjoyed filming the different parts, and this time I was able to film most of it. I only forgot to press record when I was doing my sky. But I'm doing now the final mermaid with her long hair and her arms, and I'm thinking of having her on the right side of the page, and then the one that's facing sideways is going to be on the left side, and then the other one's going to be in the front. So that's why I'm arranging things so that they kind of work out within the frame of the page that I've selected to place them in. So once I'm done with all of my basic outline drawing of it, I just erase whatever pencil lines are left, and I'll be going into my painting part of the process. So you'll get to see me doing that too today. I hope you enjoy that part of this video, and maybe you'll be inspired to do some of your own. I've kept very simple with my paint. I didn't do too much. I didn't do shading, and the drawing is very basic because I had that body already halfway done. So I've tried to make the top part go with the bottom part that I was already cutting out of the paper, and trying to blend them as much as I can so that they look like one same drawing. But that's just part of what I wanted to play with. And we'll see what comes out after I've done all of the different parts on them. So you saw me sharing the color that I was using for the skin, and I kept them pretty flat. Maybe added a little water and white to some of them so they didn't look all exactly the same, but they're pretty much on the same skin tone on the three of them. And I was kind of like planning as I went along. Like every time I looked at what I was going to do next, then I would get up and look for the things. So some of those parts I've cut out because they took a little while for me to get things and come back and sit down. But for the most part, I've kept the whole process of the actual painting and drawing in the video. I think all of that. I just was able to edit out all of those weird, awkward pauses between what you're doing. And I'm trying to record over the video with a voiceover so that you get to hear what the process was. Hopefully I'll be able to have time because I have to go pick up my son. He went out with some friends to do some snorkeling. Happy summertime, you know. They called him up and they're like, "We're leaving in like 10 minutes. Do you want to come?" And we had to like rush him over so that he could join them. And I have to go pick him up pretty soon. So hopefully I'll have time for that. But in the meantime, I'm trying to finish this editing so that you guys can see what I've been working on for the past few days. And actually last night, it was a really fun night. One of the teachers that comes on the Friday workshop days decided that she wanted to use one of the Fridays to celebrate a birthday. So she asked me if I could do the workshop for a whole group of people so that they can enjoy what they were enjoying doing with me. And of course, who's not up for a challenge that fun, you know? So I said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. So last night there were 10 people here working on some backgrounds for art journaling type of thing. All of them didn't have art journals, so we just worked on cardstock, but used the same basic steps to create the page. And then we did some tags. They did a whole bunch of tags, each one of them. They had fun. They worked with lots of layers and bling and cutouts and paint, and I think it was a fun night for all of them. Some of them created a lot, and some of them were like they did a few, and they had to like take a rest and absorb the atmosphere around. But I think for the most part, I think everyone had a good time. So yeah, so that was last night, and that was a fun experience. I hadn't done like a birthday party activity with my art for a while. I used to do them for little kids, but I had never done it for adults, and they had a really good time. Half of them were the ones that come on Friday, so they were able to help out with some of the things because they already know the process and like the type of products that I have to offer them and the type of things that we do. So that was part of the fun, having everyone share what they've been enjoying and being able to share with new people that hopefully will like playing along and getting creative and just enjoying some time to themselves for, like, I don't know, relaxing, recharging, disconnecting from the everyday life and having fun like we do. So that's the bodies already painted, and then I'm gonna go and get some paints for the hairs, for the different hairs. So these are the ones that I've selected. They're also from Americana, and I've chosen the primary yellow, spice pumpkin, and the paprika, I think, were the ones that I chose. But you can pause that and take a look if you want to see the colors that I've used. And I just decided to grab that cardboard piece that I had lying around to use as a palette. So I'm using that as a palette for the skin and the hair, and then you'll see me stopping with that and using my mat for other areas. But for the most part, this is gonna be a part about me creating the layers on the hair and playing around with the shapes that I've created with those little swirls that I made. And I'm kind of like hypnotized at looking at the process. I hope you'll enjoy this type of share from my channel. It's not something that I'm going to be able to do all the time, but I enjoyed being able to make this one. So hopefully I'll be able to share it with all of you, and you guys will get to see the process behind creating those mermaids and all of the layers that I worked on. And I'm trying to think of what else to do next. As I'm looking at this right now, I'm trying to think of what to work on next. Because I don't know if I want to do a series of like ATCs, or if I want to go in and work on my tags again. I love doing that type of thing. I've been working in the art journal for a while now, and I enjoy it because I know there are pieces that I can keep in the journals, and they're like forever, you know, because I can see the process of what I've gone through and the changes and the styles, and I get to play with all different types of styles because I don't mind mixing it up. So I have different journals going at the same time, and according to the mood or the medium that I'm going to be working in, I just grab one and start playing. And then when I'm doing the workshops, I also get inspired because I teach them things, and I share techniques and products with them, and then I get inspired to do my own thing. So sometimes I don't do it ahead of time. Well, most of the time I don't do it ahead of time. I'll do like a sample, and then we'll go from there, because I enjoy seeing what they can come up with and what I can help them come up with the tools and techniques that I share. That's part of what I enjoy from the process, just seeing what comes out from everyone's own creativity and own take on what I have to share. And then if I have a time to do it beforehand, I'll do it. But if not, I'll just be like recharged and pumped up to do my own thing after the workshop. So maybe a day after that or two, I'll sit down and make one of my own. But it has been amazing to be able to enjoy with more people. That's like so much fun. So here I am playing with the 3 colors and just going on my hair like craziness. I just played with all different types of shades and swirls and waves on the hair, and I enjoyed the whole process of just playing with that. It was fun. So I would love to know if this is something that you want to see more of. I didn't know whether to split it and have it like real time in 3 parts or 2 parts, or make it like this where I have it's a longer video, but you have the whole thing in one single video. So that's something that I'm exploring and trying to see whether you guys are interested in this like long version of a video with all of it in one, or having it split into different parts. Because I know some people don't want to watch long videos, but sometimes it's easier to have like the whole process in one single video if you want to see the whole project being done. I'm just exploring different things that I can share with all of you in the channel as I see the channel growing. And I'm super excited that I'm almost at 1,000. I hope um, to be able to enjoy sharing with all of you more often. That is like a a plan, a hope. Now that I have my computer back, I hope that I'm able to have more time to create more of these videos and share more with all of you, be more like inspired and motivated to do it. So, and you guys know that if you leave comments and visit and let me know what you like, and that you're here and you're seeing the videos and what you're liking, it just helps me out to get more inspired and to share the types of things that you like to see. So I miss that, because it took me a while to come back to do like some real videos again. So I'm enjoying this process again. And summer is just this, it's for me to like relax, enjoy, recharge, and create. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to do the workshops and then to be able to like spend more time in my studio actually creating and filming and editing. I love that. I love my summers because of that. It's just a longer period of time to be able to be rested and to enjoy this process without like rushing through it. I haven't even been able to watch too many videos lately. And I've tried very hard to keep away from watching any haul videos or any D-Stash videos because I want to push myself to use the things that I have here. I've been getting things like for my birthday and stuff, like I got the watercolors, and I've been getting a few new products because that always like it's exciting to get something new, and it is exciting to be inspired by something new. But I love the fact that I can always choose things that I can mix with things that I already have. And then when I'm creating these type of pages, I try to incorporate things that I have in my studio that I've had for a while. And push myself to try like different things in the art journal. It's not a canvas, so it's not like as risky as a canvas feels. It's just a piece of paper. If it doesn't come out and you don't like it, you tear the paper out, or you just cover it with gesso and you start over again, or you can add some scrapbook paper on top of that and work on top of it. So it's for me, it's free time to play and enjoy like relaxing and making new things come out of that page. And the fact that I changed like sizes by changing journals, like, and using some watercolor papers sometimes, and then the thin sketchbook sometimes, and then this one other times, it makes it fun. So now I'm gonna go into the bottom part of her body, and I've already shared that I think it was Wisteria is the color that I use from Americana. Very pale lavender. And I started out by painting it very lightly to try to keep the outlines that were already there. But you're going to see that eventually I just end up covering it with paint, like the whole thing. Even though, I mean, they're left there. You can see like a shadow of the lines. But I decided not to keep them as prominent because it looked like a hole in her body as I kept looking at that white space in the center. And it was just like, I don't know. I felt more free if I just covered the whole thing and didn't feel like constricted to like having to keep that line clean. So I just went over it. At some point you're going to see me that I just cover the whole thing. I also feel like making a challenge. What do you guys think? What should I like do? What can we exchange that's not being done right now? Something different, something not too complicated, not too complex. but something fun that we can share that that reminds you of what I do, of me. I know it's mixed media. That's like basically what people remember me for. Mixed media is like something that when they think of me, they think of mixed media. But what type of thing would you like to work on, inspired by the type of thing that I do, that we can like exchange in like a challenge type of thing? It doesn't have to be something sent, you know? It could be something just like, just do video responses and we can share and be inspired or challenged by that. So maybe it's, I don't know, making one ATC a day and having all of you make your own and we can all share it together. I just want to do something fun to interact with my subbies, my friends that I've missed. So now I'm retouching the lavender color, and I also did the like the detail on the top part of her bikini, or on her top. I used some green, and I already shared the color. I don't really remember it right now, but you guys can pause that and see that like pistachio type of green that I used. And I'm also using that same color for the body on the one that I'm gonna be placing in the front, like at the front of the piece. And that way the colors will be connected from one to the other and they'll go together. So this one was way faster because I had decided to cut her so that she would be coming, just so that she'd be coming out of the page. And then I go to this last one, and for that last one I'm using that bubblegum pink. And we'll paint her body with that. And then you're gonna see something fun that I had visualized. I didn't know if it was gonna work. I just saw it and I thought, ooh, maybe this is something that I can use. So right after this part, you're gonna see me playing with that and trying to see if what I had envisioned is gonna work. And I'm not gonna tell you anything more. Just wait and see. It's coming up right after this. So you'll get to see that. It was actually a fun thing to do. It's coming up really soon. It's coming up really soon. I just need to finish this tail here. And once they dry, I'll be able to do the outlines on them again, just to clean up the lines, because you get paint on them and you lose some detail. But I also used a little bit of that pink to create some light cheeks on both of the ladies that were facing forward or sideways. And I also used some of the light brown to create her facial features very lightly, because I'll probably be going over that with black afterwards, but I just want to give myself a guide that's not as committed as going in with black. So after I did those two sections there, well, I'm still doing it. I'm still working on the eyes and the mouth and just basic guides for the parts on her face. But it's coming right after this, I promise. Just this part just took a while because there were 3 of them and I had to do them from scratch. So, but here we go. I'm using this Andy Skinner. It's like a snake skin type of a texture, but I saw scales with it for the mermaid. So I just picked up some of the Memento dewdrops and I'm using that to create some scales on the mermaid. And let's see. This was a darker purple. And I started very lightly and then I just went in. And it worked. It worked. It was fun. So now I picked this pear tart for the green. And you're going to see it came out a little bit lighter, but I didn't mind because, I mean, they were like in different areas of the page. So it was fun to just play with different shades of like how intense the color was on each. So this one came out lighter, but I didn't want to make it a darker green because I really like the color on her tail. And it's just fun. It's just fun to have something different on each one. And then you saw me add that darker magenta type of color onto the pink girl. And now I'm just going over the edges to make them more defined and thicker so that it will go with the same type of line that I have going on in the paper part, the one that I had fussy cut from the paper. So I need to match that line so that both of the sections on the drawing match. Because otherwise I was going to have a really delicate fine line in the one that I had drawn and then something really thick at the tail, and I didn't want to do that, so I had to blend them together by going in again and then just cleaning my lines and make them thicker. But instead of like risking using a thicker marker, I just went in with the same thin one and I just kept adding to it so I could get as thick as I wanted, but being able to control it. So you're gonna see me do that for the 3 mermaids, and I promise this is the longest part of the video. All of the process of the mermaids is the longest part, so that's why I was thinking of maybe cutting the video in parts and just sharing this mermaid part in a separate video. But that is something that I'm gonna have to choose in the future, unless this one won't upload fully, because I haven't uploaded something this long, I think, in all of my YouTube history. And I don't know if you guys are willing to watch a longer video like this, but I wanted to risk it. I wanted to share something in a different way. And I think that by the end, like when you see the final drawing and I fussy cut them out, they kind of look like an image that was together. You know, that it doesn't really look like 2 separate pieces that I placed together or I pieced together. So I think the experiment kind of worked. And it was a fun exercise. It was a fun experiment to work on. And it's getting pretty close for me to go pick up Sebastian, so I hope I have enough time to finish recording this. And I want to be able to upload it tonight, so maybe you guys are able to see it tomorrow. Because I know if I upload something this big right now, my kids are going to have a fit, because I will take up their Wi-Fi capabilities for playing, and that is not acceptable in the summertime. Yeah, but I wanted to do this. I wanted to do it now and be able to upload it tonight. So I am crossing my fingers that this is going to work, and I'm also hoping that you guys enjoy it. You have to promise to let me know whether you like this type of video or not. I really need to know. And I also really want to know what else you guys want to see besides my art journals. Like, inspire me to create something that we can challenge ourselves with. I feel like engaging with all of you more. I'm doing it now with my classes here, and I want to be able to do it with my YouTube community, because I miss you guys. Yeah, so some more lines, and I keep adding details as I paint and I add the outlines and the different parts. They keep growing, and they keep evolving. They keep changing, because I keep adding details and finding other areas or parts that need like more defining or a different type of line. I add curls. I add those type of things you add as you build them. So it's interesting. It's kind of risky, right? Because it can always go the wrong way and you have to start over. but in this case, I think they worked. I especially like the one facing, like, giving us her back. The more I look at her, the more I really like that one. And then the one with the red hair is also a fun one. I think my least favorite is the one facing sideways. Although she's kind of fun. She just looks younger. So maybe it's like different generations being able to like enjoy some time together. So that's kind of meaningful. The more you look at things, the more you see meaning in them, and you see different things. So that's part of the fun of creating things that are more layered. Yeah, so I really, as you see, I really got involved and really had a lot of time creating these drawings. So I kept adding details to them. And I think I'm about to be interrupted in like a few minutes because I hear footsteps coming. But I also have to go pick up Sebastian. So let's finish this part so that I can maybe pause it and come back and keep on sharing with you what I did on the next parts. But I just didn't want to cut. I didn't want to cut this part because I wanted you to be able to see the whole process. But I know for sure that this is not something I'm going to be able to do all the time. It just takes a while to edit, to be able to share it in like a reasonable amount of time, because it was way, believe me, it was way longer, because I had like, I left it recording as I went to get things, and some parts were just repetitive, so I eliminated them. But here it is. Here it is. Huh. There's still two more mermaids to go, and I have to go. Oh no. Are you watching? Are you watching it completely, or did you pause the video and came back to look at it later? Are you doing your own work as you watch the video? I wonder what you guys do as you watch these type of videos that are process videos that take longer. Are you working along as you watch them, or do you guys just watch these type of videos before you go to bed? Because sometimes I do that. Sometimes that's the time that I have more time to watch things that are longer, when I have less interruptions, and just right before I go to bed, before going upstairs, I'll sit down and just watch something that I've been interested in watching for a while. And even if it inspires me to do something afterwards, I'll just look that video up again at some point. But I like mixing it up. Sometimes I like to watch longer videos, and sometimes I like to watch quick things. It all depends on the time of day and the type of time I have available to me. So that's why I like making like different types of videos for my channel too. Like sometimes I'll keep them short. But lately I've been trying to do more videos like this because I haven't been able to do them in a while. So I've been like wanting to do it for so long that I've tried to do as many of them as I can. Especially because, you know, you have like that little wanting to use something new type of thing. So I really wanted to try out the whole new, like the new setup with a camera and the new computer and everything. Well, the rest of the things are old. I mean, my webcam is old. It's the one that I had before, and the microphone's the same one that I had before. But the computer and the iMovie are new, so I wanted to see how it all worked out together with this new format. And I'm really liking the quality of the video that it filmed, and I think that the editing is working a lot better than the one I used to do. It takes me a little while because I still have to get a mouse, because this is a laptop, and it's harder to edit when you're using just your little finger. But I know eventually I'll get a wireless mouse that I'll be able to control faster. I'm just not the best at using laptops. I'm not used to them, so it takes me a little bit longer to do that. And this is, I mean, it's a long, this part is long because I took my time creating them. I wasn't, I mean, it might look slow here, but I was going slower. I was taking my time building up like the thickness of the lines and everything. I didn't want to risk like ruining what I had already done because I was far enough in on the drawing to risk like ruining it by going too fast with the lines. And I'm not used to drawing like this all the time, so I took my time making my drawing. And even though this is like 20 times the speed, and it looks like it's slower, believe me, I was going way slower. I was taking my time with my drawing. I'm not used to doing these type of drawings all the time. So once you're used to doing things, you do it fast. But I tend to try different things all the time and to change it up and do different mediums and different styles. So I'm not as fast as I see some people doing like their little croquis and drawings. But I enjoy the process. I just had a lot of fun building up that drawing as I was creating it. So that's why you see me taking longer. And since it's just like a small size pit pen, so I had to build up the thickness of the line a few times in order to get it thick enough to match the bottom. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer to go over those outlines and make them thicker. But we're getting pretty close to finishing that part. We're almost done. I just need to finish her arm and add the waves on her ponytail and just some details on her body, and we'll be done with the beautiful mermaids that are gonna join my page and hopefully make things happy in that ocean view or scene. Yeah, a few more curls and we'll be done with this part, and then I'll come back to share the rest of the parts that I created. They're gonna be on this same video, so if you want to pause it right after this and come back, you can certainly do that. And I'm gonna record that second part as I come back from picking up Sebastian. So okay, so I'm back. I'm back from picking up Sebastian, and they had a really good time. They didn't want the night to be over, so they have plans for tomorrow too, huh? Anyways, as you can see, I'm still going over my outlines and making the little details that I want to add. And as I was driving over to pick up Sebastian, I was thinking of the things that I had on my desk that I sort of left on the desk because I wanted to play with them. And one of them is a set of owl stickers that I got at the dollar store. It's from the dollar store. I didn't get it. I think it was Marla was the one that found it for me. But I had it in my stash of the piles that I had been collecting, and that's something that I think I might want to play with next. So let's see what I can create with those owl stickers that I have on my desk. And that's probably going to be my next spread until I get some feedback from all of you. No, until I come up with something else to do, because I'm still debating whether I want to do a series of tags or ATCs. I think I might go with tags because they're fun to create different styles on. It's a bigger size that you can play with different things on. And I end up putting them together as like sets, and I can bind them together with a ring and just have them as samples of different things that I can do for the workshops too. So it's a good visual reference for people. And it's also a good exercise for me to play with different things in a smaller format and just try something different for a little bit. But you never know. I might go back to my journal or in between, because I can't stick to like one thing for long. I just like mixing it up and play according to the mood that I'm in. But those are done. I fussy cut them and start playing with them again. Now that they're cut and finished, I try to place them on the page to see how I like them to be arranged. And once I've done that part, then I'm planning to keep on adding things to my sky. So I went to get that stencil. It's from Deco Art. And I'm planning to use that to create my clouds with. So let's see what comes out of that little play session there. So I'm using some white acrylic paint that I just showed you. I think it's called Cotton Ball. And I'm just dabbing that onto my stencil to create like a cloud shape. That's not too realistic, but it's just a fun way to use a stencil in a different way than to create a flower with. But basically what I'm trying to do is just build up some texture and some interest in that sky part of the page and play with different things to see what comes up. So you'll see me going back and forth between the bigger one and the smaller one just to play with the different shapes and to create a variety of sizes on the skyline and that whole sky. So once I was done with the stenciling of that, I took a look at it for a little bit, and sorry if you hear the sound of my chair as I lean back. Oops, see, here going in. So anyways, I took a look at it and then went back to other areas to build more intensity of the whiteness on it. That way it would create like more depth and more interest. So I just kept on playing for a little bit using those stencils. That was like the plan, to see what other things I could use my stencils for. I wanted to like be able to play with things that I had not played with in a while and that I love to use. So you'll see me going back and forth with that for a little bit. I just wasn't super convinced that I loved it, so I kept building it up to see if it would make a change, and just kept adding things so that that texture would be all over the sky in different areas by adding like more or less in some areas. Once I was done with that and it dried a little bit, I came back and I dropped some of the Dr. Martens Bombay ink on top of it, and I just spread it out with a paper towel just to cover the excess of white and to blend it in with the background a little bit more. And I liked it more after I did that. So I just kept on going with my ink drops. I kept adding more of the darker blue to the bottom, and then I just jumped in and started coloring my water with with that Bombay ink. So I used different tones. I used the blue, the darker blue at the bottom, and then I added a little bit to the waves, and then I added the teal to create more contrast, so that it wouldn't look as a flat color. But that's what you see me doing here, just spreading it with a paper towel all over my water area. And I really liked how it looked. I enjoyed how that came out. So now I'm looking at it and trying to decide what else to do after that. And I felt it needed a little bit more of a dark blue in like the skyline, like with that horizon line, just to make it more different from the water color. But I'm still planning to play with it and see if I can create some waves like a foam at the edge. So before doing that and while it dried, I started playing on the rocks by adding some black Bombay ink, and then I played with the distress paint that or stain that Marla had sent me. So I added a little bit of that with some dabbing and a brush. I think it's called crushed olives. I'm not sure right now because I put it back. I'm trying to keep organized, so I'm putting things away as soon as I get done using them. but I think it's crushed olive, the color on that green from the distress paint or stain. So now I think they're ready for my mermaids to go play. So once I place that smaller mermaid, I decide that that's where I want it, and I add some gel medium to it, and then I'm gonna go and do the same thing for the other mermaids. So you're gonna see me doing that to the rest of them and placing them on the page. And it's coming together. It's finally coming together after all of this like visual image that I had and all the different sections and parts that I've been building and creating. That page is finally coming together, and it's growing as I build it, because you have a basic idea, but then as you start working, you know how things evolve and change. So I think she's my favorite. The more I look at her, the more I like her. I really like that one facing the ocean. It just make a, I don't know, I think it made a big difference to not have her face forward. So now I add my final one, and we have the mermaids in their new home. A little bit more gel medium and place them and flatten them, and I think they're happy. So I'm done with my mermaid creation, but I still need to add some details to the page, because you know I couldn't just stop there. So I wanted to add more things. So as I'm gluing it down, I'm thinking of what else to add. If I want to add that water foam, like the wave type of thing effect. So I went in and I got the glitters again, the ones that I had showed at the beginning. And at first I dabbed some glue on the edge of the top part, that horizon line, and I started mixing the white and the other colors. I used the broken china and the rock candy to mix the colors so they wouldn't be a flat white. I just thought it would be interesting to see what came up with that. And then I went in and I looked for that turquoise one, and I added that too. So I went a little glitter crazy. And I left it to dry a little bit, but I wasn't like completely convinced with how it looked. So after it dried a bit and I took that excess off, you're gonna see that I added something else to my glitter detail. Yeah, so I waited for it to be dry, and then you're gonna see me go back and keep playing with it. I wasn't too sure about what I was doing there. I had liked everything else so far, but the glitter part, I wasn't too sure how it was gonna come out. I mean, I like how it looks now before I take it off, but once I took it off, I wasn't too convinced. So I added not stickles, it's the distress stickles in the clear rock candy. So I added that on top of the glitter that I already placed on the page, and I like that a lot more. So I had to leave that to dry, and then I went in with my liquid pearls in that white opal, which is almost finished, and I created some details for my clouds, and then I like the clouds a lot more. So after that, it's for journaling, and the journaling, I used a Posca pen to do my journaling with, and it's called Sing Your Own Song, and then I wrote different things along the mermaid line and the cloud line, and that's how the page ended up looking after all of those different steps that I added to it. And I like it. I like it. It says sing your own song. And I don't think I'm going to have time to read the whole thing. But basically, it says you are ready to play and be and free to be yourself. Embrace your own beauty. Be free. And that's it. That's my new Every Create page. Hope you liked it. Come back soon. Thank you for watching. Hugs and kisses. And remember to subscribe if you want to see more of this. Bye.